for coming. I really appreciate it. You guys are super busy, understand that. And you guys taking the time to come here.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, so you guys go ahead and let's talk about what you guys do to the community. So I'll start with you, Chef.
Like which community? Because when we talk about community, I look at the world as a community, and so I do a lot of work with youth. Obviously, my focus is helping to create a solution around ending hunger. When we think about the food disparity that exists in the world, and you recognize that there's really no need for that because there's an abundance of food. There's enough food to feed everyone on the planet. And so when I am present to numbers like 1 in 6 children who go to bed hungry every single night, that's what inspires me and motivates me to work with organizations like No Kid Hungry and continue to participate in events with them to help not only bring the awareness, but also to raise money to make sure that we create that solution. And beyond that, it's about helping really create community in the world. There are more things that bring us together as opposed to pull us apart.
Absolutely.
And when you think about politics and things like that, I'm not going to get into that, but when you think
that's
about
another time.
Yeah, but when you think about politics, you have to understand something. The world is set up in a way to separate us, and the reality is that we're interdependent. We're a human race, and what makes us different is what makes us stronger. So when you think about it as a whole, my commitment is helping to bring us together. We do that every single day because I believe that food connects us all. And so at Bubbles and Pearls, my restaurant in Wilton Manors, that's what we're doing. We're just bringing everyone to the table to talk about all kinds of things. And when the food is good, trust me, no one even
we don't talk.
No one even remembers that we have a different religion or a different race or a different socioeconomic background.
Right.
No one cares about those things.
Right.
They care about the good food. So
absolutely.
But those are just a few things, and just helping to inspire people around me to be that way as well. So
well, thank you so much for that. Brad, so can you tell us about yourself in the Asiana Post community as well?
Sure. So I work with a lot of different groups, and I'm work primarily with Asian and Filipino communities. Josie and I are involved with the Filipino Chamber of Commerce. So a lot of that is about supporting small businesses, entrepreneurs, and whether they're have their own restaurant or they have products and services. I'm with the Federation of Filipino American Chambers of Commerce, which is an international group. We have 40 chambers, and we have an international conference, international trade, and so I get to travel a lot.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And he's being very modest right now, but he's not just someone who's working with the Asian community. Yeah. He's representing us in Capitol Hill, and being an Asian representative for us at the tables that really matter. So
thank you so much. Yeah,
very, very important.
Yeah. So last week I was at the White House, and so it was on in the Rose Garden, a celebration of Asian American Heritage Month. And so we had the president, the vice president, Kamala Harris, we had the first lady, and then also the secretary of trade, Catherine Tsai. But a lot of that was, it was amazing because it was a lot of people that I had campaigned with virtually during COVID. And there was also a reunion because I had a lot of people that I've worked on multiple campaigns with, local and national, but just all very progressive and just trying to that it was great to be able to see all of them and especially in that venue to be able to celebrate in the Rose Garden. So
historic moment.
Yeah.
And there was we had a whole contingent of Filipinos, so I was really proud of that. including like there's celebrities and stuff like that. Josie wasn't there, but she just
I was there in spirit.
She was there in spirit.
Yeah.
But we had Tamlin Tamida, who's Filipino Japanese. Daniel Day Kim, he's Korean. He was on Lost, and others. But it was just interesting to be able to see, different people that came together for that day. I think it was only around 400 people. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you guys? Can we talk about individual of your careers? How did you guys start, and what made you be into that space? So start.
Oh yeah! Wow. Okay. Where do we begin? There will be a book. I promise. I started my journey in food and really in community, building community a long time ago when I was growing up here in South Florida. I grew up in Hialeah to bring it full circle.
Yeah.
And I was the only Filipino, Puerto Rican, Italian girl in the neighborhood for sure. And I think I was neighbors to my friends who were Chinese, and they were the only other Asians. And I remember growing up in that town and thinking, okay, so I guess the world is made of Cubans. And it really wasn't until I got a little older that I started meeting a lot more of my Asian community, it was something that for me brought me home,
Right.
Because it reminded me of my family at home. Right? And my extended family, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, and all of that.
That's great.
And one thing that I remember from all of us getting together was always the food, you know? And man, there was so much good food, the Filipino food, the Italian food, the Puerto Rican food.
Yeah, sure.
Guys, I was healthy growing up.
Food is love.
And so I started to really recognize how important food was. And bringing, because we were like every other dysfunctional family, okay? So there were family dramas happening, but that didn't matter because when everyone was called to the table, we came and we sat at the table.
That's great.
And then there was joy, right? And there was community, and there was family, right? So I took that with me when I kind of started going out on my own. I got old enough I wanted honestly to be a filmmaker and a photographer, and my parents thought that they really didn't think I could do it. I don't know, who am I kidding? And they thought that was going to be a very expensive road to go down. They're like, how are you gonna afford the equipment? How are you gonna do this? How are you gonna? Oh my God, that sea is too large. You're gonna drown out there with the other people trying to be a photographer or a filmmaker. I was like, thanks for the encouragement. But I ended up following my heart and thinking, you know what, listen, while I'm figuring this all out, why don't I just do what I do, what I've been surrounded by my entire life, what I understand, what I have a already God-given talent towards, which was cooking. And I had been in the kitchens with my grandmothers, my father, my family, and I already knew something about food, right?
Yep.
I knew about putting and layering flavors and the importance of everything in its place. I understood the ingredients. I was already there. Yeah. So, let's take this to the next level. So I ended up going to culinary school to become a chef. Well, this is for all the chefs out there. You don't become a chef when you graduate culinary school. Now you have the skill to be a good cook, okay? But becoming a chef is an entire other level of culinary. And it embodies more than just knowing how to cook. Being a chef is understanding the business side of it as well, right? Yeah. And not only that, but putting together and curating full menus, understanding the importance of recipes and locking those in and creating systems to follow. It's it's about way more than just cooking. So hopefully all the young culinary students out there, and they know you're not going to graduate and just be a chef. Yeah. You might be able to go on Top Chef, but I don't know. Not anymore. We're all kind of, you know, experienced. But so that's what started me down that road. And I was very fortunate to work with some amazing chefs in my life, Wiley Dufresne, Jean George. Nice. You know, those are just to name a few, but I've worked alongside of so many great chefs, and I failed so many times in this industry, and failing is a part of what has helped me become who I am.
Yeah, those are important.
Yeah.
Those failures are lessons, right?
Yeah.
They're not failures, they're lessons.
And listen, they're only failures if you don't learn anything, right? And so I always tell everyone, fail and fail often, and don't be afraid to do that. But now, you know, now I'm here. 1 year, someone I was with decided to throw my name into the hat when it came to Top Chef, and then that took it into another whole other realm. And I'm really grateful for being able to do that at that point in my life. You know, 4 seasons of Top Chef, Food Network, all those things. And I just look back and I go, well, did you have fun? I go, yeah, you know, I had fun. And I just always remember then now coming back to my life, right? Because that's just, you know, it's a moment, right? But coming back to my life and taking that experience and really utilizing the gratitude that I experienced from that, having that opportunity, recognizing and owning that I created that opportunity, and then being able to build on it, right? And so now, you know, I'm so fortunate to own a restaurant we've had for 7 years in Wilton Manors, you know, and I own that with my wife. In a town that I ran for mayor in, you know, and I'm a Renaissance woman, okay? So I just keep on growing, learning, keep on expanding, and that's what life is for. It's for living, and you know, it's a great honor to be a part of the Filipino Chamber of Commerce, because this is also what I'm about, is about my culture. I had the great opportunity of visiting the homeland, the motherland, for the first time in my life.
When was that?
Like 3 years ago, right before COVID.
Oh, you're kidding, wow.
And man, I felt like I was at home. And
nice.
The food was so amazing and delicious. I met another Josie, who is like a top chef in the Philippines, right there in Manila, who is the one that the Pope is always requesting.
Wow.
Really?
And so, you know, she cooked us a 15-course meal. But I also got to see the beautiful country, experience the culture in that way. You know, I've had a chance to spend time with my family in San Francisco, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of Filipinos here too, you know? And it was just, it was amazing. So when I got involved here with the chamber, what it did was it made me really truly understand how important it is for us to be celebrating our Filipino culture. Not only doing that, but empowering, lifting, supporting, creating resources, and also helping our community really get the stage that it deserves. Because you know, not all Asians are the same, right? And so there's many shades of us, you know, and it's important that each of us have a voice and we have a seat at the table so we can speak about the issues that are important to our communities.
Well said. Very well said. What about you, Brad?
Well, I think, so we're going back to like how I started, or my... Okay, sure, wow. So I think with any stereotypical Filipino family, they want me to be a doctor or a nurse or something like that. But so I actually went that route. I have a twin brother. I have 2 older brothers, and I studied biology and English. And you know, if I had to do it again, I'd probably get like an MBA and a JD, because I do love law and politics and things like that. But I ended up, studying and getting a master's in public health. And then I found out that I was good at raising money and writing grants. So I kind of took a diversion from there. But at the same time, I think just like Josie, I've been very fortunate that I've had so many amazing mentors in my life. People that taught me, like whether it was a private school, people that showed me in terms of, I think my biggest skill is really about networking.
Yeah.
So, connecting with people, seeing how you pay it forward, but you realizing, how can you work with other people, and, and what are your strengths, and how can you help really for the community. So a lot of the things that I do now are either, it's project management, raising, I'll do grant writing or political fundraising, things like that, or I'll do large events. So we have, with FPACC, we have, whether it's trade missions or conferences, or right now I'm working on a $20 million emergency care or surgical center that'll be for the Haitian community. So it's really about, for me, I like to identify projects that are meaningful but also sustainable, because you don't want to just do things that are, you don't want to put all your time and effort into things that are just that won't be there long term. Right? That have meaning and that are significant to people. So I'm trying to really figure out. I started, I worked with national organizations. I liked to mentor. So I've got a couple mentors that I'm helping with, that I keep in touch with.
Yep.
So I think a lot of it is really just regardless of whatever field that you're in, you should always recognize that how lucky we are in terms of the things that we have, and also to kind of pull other people forward too, teach them and mentor others, and really I try to figure out in what ways can I make a significant impact for the community. And when it came down to it, I kept on seeing that it was in helping people with small businesses, job creation, and supporting their families.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why it makes sense that you guys are in the Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yeah.
So how did that begin, and how can you guys explain that to me, and how did it it evolved, and how did you guys did you guys meet from that time, or?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I actually tell me if this is true. So I reached out. We were doing Taste of the Philippines, right? Is this it? Taste of the Philippines?
Yeah.
We have an event. This is I helped start the Greater Philadelphia Chamber, and because the Philippine consulate had output, they said one of the initiatives we want to do in all their 10 consulates, we want to try and create these chambers that'll also push dual citizenship and support businesses and give back to the Philippines, and which is a great strategy. So we started one in Philadelphia maybe 7-8 years ago, and started this Taste of the Philippines at Reading Terminal Market, which is amazing, like one of the largest indoor markets in the country.
Yep.
We outgrew that the first or second year, over 4,000 people.
Wow.
And so this year, and then COVID, and we had to do it virtual. But I had reached out to Josie because I've been such a huge fan of you, and we wanted to have her come in, fly in, and to be one of the celebrity chefs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit,
And
so
COVID
we
hit.
ended up doing it virtually.
That's right.
And so I got to create a vegan kare
Yes.
kare. Okay, remember?
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
okay. And I was like, wow, this is going to be challenging,
Yeah.
because I usually eat it with oxtail.
Right.
But anyways, I was a vegan at the time.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, all of Filipino food, it has a lot of pork in it,
all
it has a
meat.
lot,
Yeah.
a lot of meat, right? A lot of meat, animal product.
That's right.
And I thought, well, wait a minute, there has to be some vegan, some Filipinos who are vegan out there, and let me see what I can do here.
Yeah.
And so what I created was a vegan kari, and I was like,
they loved it. It
oh
was such
man,
a good dish.
and I served
Even
that.
I was like, I love meat, but I was like, this is still the sauce and everything. It was really good.
I had to dig deep into my
Yeah.
creative
Yeah.
ingredient outlet, and check out the resources that I could recreate that kind of depth, the feel, that umami, that oxtail. Like how do you substitute oxtail and what that brings to a dish, right? And it's like, okay, so I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that, I'm gonna need a lot of mushrooms, I'm gonna need this, and so I went in and I just really, we're gonna do some miso in here, we're gonna throw some soy, we're gonna make this mix, this is what's gonna be the depth, and then I just kind of like built it on that, and then I created, the same approach, the same way, the toasted rice, pulverizing it and turning it into a powder.
We're eating this, right?
Yeah, to thicken the sauce.
Nice.
I mean, we were going crazy. So needless to say, that's how we first met.
Yeah.
And then we met again because there was this idea to start a chamber here in South Florida, and Filipino Chamber of Commerce here in South Florida. And we thought, I actually, coming to me, I was like, where are the Filipinos? And that's what I said. I mean, I was just being honest,
Right.
And it was amazing because what I realized is that we have a large community of Filipinos living in South Florida, and maybe a lot of them feel like I did, like, so where is everyone? And it's about, again, celebrating our culture and supporting each other, with the resources, like what worked for you, what didn't work for you when you're like starting a business. Where can I find resources, money to fund those businesses? How do I grow and expand my business? How do I market my business? How do I do those things? And understanding from my perspective as a small business owner, I understood that it's not just a challenge that small business owners have, but this is something that I could really bring to the table, my experience, and support this chamber in growing and thinking outside the box when it comes to how we approach business in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great that, I mean, the community is growing. I mean, there's, like, for example, just like in Florida alone, so you've got in Jacksonville, there's 33,000 Filipinos. Orlando's is a big population, growing in Miami. But you just have to follow the churches, I guess. Follow where the community is, see where the festivals are. But what's great is, we had some events, and it was at your restaurant, and we had we had a packed house of people that and said, I have a bakery. I'm looking to have a brick and mortar. I don't have, how can I get funding? All these types of things. And it's like, you don't have to start from square one. We've all learned, a lot of us have gone through, have businesses or whatever, and we've made mistakes, but you learn from those. And I think it's having that sense of community that I think is really, just amazing for having the chamber, and to be able to see in what ways can we just, support and promote and uplift, what our community does. Right. So a lot of times we because we're Asian Latino and our culture, we blend in very easily.
Yeah, we get absorbed.
Yeah.
So we get absorbed.
Yeah, but especially now, I think in terms of arts and entertainment and sports and food, we're the flavor of the year. Filipinos are making their mark, right?
I mean,
so this is the best. This is the timing for, in terms of trying to be very, not only proud of our roots, but also to really, just kind of be more organized. And also, I think the other thing is to think on a larger level.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because listen, it's great to create community in our church, right? It's great, and great, let's keep doing that.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, but we got to build on what is working,
Yeah.
right? And when we're talking about commerce, we live in a society where money talks.
Right.
Okay. So when we bring all of our community together, that is represents a financial section of our society, right? And the more money we generate,
That's right.
okay, and that is recorded, it's like the consensus. When you look into, say, the service industry, Filipinos are a huge part of the service industry. In the cruise industry, that was gutted
Exactly.
during COVID.
Yes.
In the hotel industry, and these are like important in the healthcare industry.
Right.
Okay, these are dollars that are being generated in this country and injected into our different communities in different ways, and that money needs to be accounted for, and it needs to have a voice, okay? Because again, each issue is different for each community. Like, what's important to the Filipino community?
Exactly.
And when we are able to collect that data, right, and show, like, guys, you have 100,000 Filipinos who are here who are generating this amount of revenue and business and service and, you know, name it. Exactly. But this, when we represent that dollar amount as well as a unified community, then it means that basically, and it's sad to say, but you buy your seat at the table.
Exactly.
And when you buy your seat at the table, then your voice has power, right? Now, look, you have someone like me. I talk regardless, okay? So I don't need all the money to back me up. I just speak my mind, okay? And that's a good thing too. So you need that. That's why I'm a part of this chamber, because I'm here to definitely be someone who is, if I have to, you know, speak at the top of the hilltop, if I have to come down and I have to speak at whoever's level, if I have to help communicate and be the bridge so that people understand what it is we're doing as a whole, that's what it's about, you know? And man, we have delicious food. I'm coming back to the food because we gotta just keep on creating these tables where people can sit down and eat this delicious food and hear what it is that we're talking about, and creating those opportunities for other Filipinos to meet other Filipinos so we can share our resources and really be able to support each other in growing the monetary, right? The monetary importance that we, you know, that we have.
Yeah, I was doing. We got a mini grant for the Filipino community in Pennsylvania, and it was to do a listening session or a focus group or a needs assessment. And part of one of the number one problem that a lot of them came up with, Filipino, and there was some Asian, was the whole thing about not enough data. Not like whether it's the census or these surveys or people understanding just how many Filipinos were in their state or in their region, and that, you know, there was an undercount. You know, there's a nationally there's a severe undercount of Filipinos. But the other thing is that what Josie's talking about in terms of economic impact, right? So it's, if they don't understand, if the politicians don't understand how many of them are in their district, who are citizens that contribute taxes, that have restaurants or have businesses, and that are voting members of the community, they won't pay attention. And we're not going to, and we have to stand up for ourselves. So this is really about community empowerment. It's about civic engagement. It's about, you know, a greater awareness that you need to give a damn. That isn't just about us, and that, you know, there's so many things that are screwed up in the world, and at some point you have to, as a community, say this, enough is enough, and in what things can we work together to make improvements and make it better for the next generation.
Correct.
Wow.
So, but not to preach.
Yeah, no, correct.
Yeah, you absolutely said it right, both of you. So it's very important.
That's why we make a good team.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
he's the politician. Okay, I'm just like the regular person here.
That's gonna be a great solution what you guys gonna provide to the community, as also in South Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's gonna open doors, a lot of doors.
because right now, I mean, just for the Asian, everyone thinks you're Latino. It's very, if you're in Philadelphia, it's very Afrocentric, right? It's one of the poorest large cities. Miami, everything is focused with Latinos by numbers.
Right.
So we need to really kind of put ourselves out there. We bridge both sides. We're
Yeah.
Asian Latino.
Yep.
Our food is like Asian soul food.
Yeah.
I mean, so we can bridge the gap.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's exciting too, you know, being able to do this in a way that also is fun,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
we don't want it to be so serious. Yes, what we're doing is serious,
Right,
okay? But those two things can exist in the same space, having fun
Yep.
and being
Absolutely.
serious.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be an either or conversation, right?
Right, yep.
We can have fun and create economic growth. You
Yep.
know, we can have fun and celebrate our culture. We can have fun and educate other people on what it is to be Filipino. And it's not a separation.
Exactly.
It's simply an empowerment. It's a conversation that we have. And, you know, I mean, we're one of the friendliest cultures in the
Oh my
in the
gosh.
world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Everyone.
that's true.
I've never met anyone who says, "Oh man, those Filipinos, whoa, those Filipinos."
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
know everyone.
They
who
know
I've
when the Filipino is in the room.
yeah, they're like, oh my God, they're so cool.
Yeah.
They're so fun, you know? So yeah, you know,
Yeah.
being able to really embrace the rest of the world and let them know,
Exactly.
guys, look, hey,
Yeah.
we're Filipino and we're here, you know?
That's
and it's
right.
like, that's what it is. And like, you know, Brad is saying, you know, that's a crossroad, right? Of of a Latin, Asian, like this is the perfect mix,
Yeah,
even to be here
that's
in
right.
South Florida,
Yes,
right?
correct.
And I think that a lot of people are going to see be able to relate with the culture
Yeah.
and really be excited to be
That's
a
right.
part of it.
Yeah,
you know?
Filipinos have 2 centuries Spanish rule, over 400 years of history with the Mexicans. And so it's like we are the Asian Latinos.
Yes.
So this is, I mean, I love being in Miami.
Yeah.
My
Makes sense.
My family has had a condo here in Miami for over 30 years. So we would come here like 2 or 3 times a year, and I was like, I always feel at home here.
Yep.
It's you know, you feel like you're on the islands.
yeah. Well, yeah. The weather's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How sooner is the chamber gonna be open? When is the? I know you guys are reopening it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how?
So I think
What's the-
the thing is to start. We want it to be very organic,
Yeah.
Okay.
and so I think the thing is to just start having some regular events.
Yeah.
Even quarterly, something
Yeah,
like that.
we're gonna start quarterly because
Yeah.
it just makes sense. Get the word out, no pressure. You know, we're not trying to be like, okay, you gotta just join this
Yeah.
chamber. No,
Everyone's got full-time jobs.
yeah, I mean, you know,
gosh,
it's hard enough for us to get together, right? No, but you know, it's like the quarterly thing really works, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and just give everyone an opportunity to plan. I know there's planners out there, and plan the event so they can attend. And I think that what's really great is we have some really cool people that are also involved, and you know, they're a part of our community in a way that I don't think everyone understands where we all are. You know, we work in community, we work in television, we work and these are the people who the small business owners, and these are the people who are currently involved with this chamber.
Yeah.
And when we relaunch, you know, we're going to make it very social, you know, to kind of, again, the networking part of it.
Yeah, that's important.
The networking part of it. Make it fun, make people know that, look, we can do these fun things together. And then I think what's really important about any organization that you create is the ability to co-create.
Yeah.
So, what that looks like is once we start, having those first couple of events, there's going to be an opportunity at those events to lend your suggestions, to lend your recommendations, to lend simply what it is that you would like to see in a chamber.
Right.
Because we know what we want to offer, right? We want to build community. We want to help economic growth in our Filipino community. We want to go ahead and continue to empower our Filipino community. So we're going to do that, and there's a few different pillars on how we're going to build that up, right? So I think it's really important to start it off in that social setting so that we can speak with our guard down. Sometimes when you walk into like a commission meeting, I've been in many of those, like city commission meeting.
Right.
You feel intimidated. You don't even want to necessarily go to the podium and take your 3 minutes to speak your mind, right?
That's true.
So I don't necessarily agree with doing anything like that when we're trying to bring people together.
Yeah.
Right.
And so these quarterly events are going to really focus on the social and be able to introduce one theme per
highlight the different businesses.
Highlight a business, highlight our Filipino of the month, fun things, share a resource, give a pamphlet that has some hard resources that you can follow up with when it comes to funding, when it comes to grants, when it comes to all kinds of things, okay? And then, eventually what we're going to be getting into is being able to really be a bridge between the Philippines and here in the U.S. We live in South Florida is one of the biggest import-export regions. So we need to have more Filipino import here, and let's create, again, this is about win-win. And if we're doing win-win for our community, we're winning.
Agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah.
It's just really just trying to start really basic and try and get to build the community, get the, figure out who's with, what are the different types of businesses and how large the business community is, and then we can grow it from there. So, but I'm just excited that, we've got all these different chambers. We've got 3 in Florida. We could do joint events. We could do it as a region. But I think a lot of it is just really trying to start like on the quarterly and then grow it from there.
Sounds good, yeah. And it's going to open doors for everybody, right?
Yeah.
It helps them to, instead of knocking on the doors, it's easily for them to walk in and say, hey, I'm part of this chamber, I'm part of this community. And maybe you guys could assist me with the resources.
Absolutely. And I think the other part is, yes, it's a Filipino chamber, but we also want to be as inclusive as possible.
Sure.
So we're going to partner with other different chambers and see, because those issues are the same. Right?
Yep.
Right.
Those businesses that are struggling have, the same type of issues and are trying to be successful as well. So I think, we can partner with different groups and with the city, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
That comes from identifying the intersectionality of our different groups, right?
Yep.
And again, as the Filipino community continues to grow across the country, like who else shares our same concerns? Who else shares our same, needs, right? And being able to team up with other chambers and with other groups, and again, that intersectionality that happens. Where do we cross roads, and how can we lean on each other to utilize both of our our manpower to really get it done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Brad, you're going to be going through a lot of events coming forward, right?
Yes, so I'm kind of an extended snowbird. So I go between Philadelphia and Miami, but then because of the federation, I travel a lot to like around the country. So there's tons of, there's the Philippine Asian Heritage Month, then goes to Philippine Independence Month, and then October is Philippine American History Month. So there's lots of those types of events. But I think what we want to try and do, what we're looking at possibly doing is like maybe it's a business expo, or it could be a music concert or a food. There's we're trying to figure out what people want to do, not kind of force it on them. But there's all those types of ideas that people have come up with, and I think it lends to there's so many great venues in Miami.
Yeah. We've had a lot of venues that have been offered to us to do events, so that's really cool too, and we're grateful for that because who are we? The Filipino Chamber, they don't even know us yet, right?
Yeah, right.
So obviously reaching down and reaching out and calling in those favors and reaching out to our connections and really helping, that's what you have to do. You have to do, this is the 101 of community building. It's like one block at a time.
Yeah. But what I would say is, Josie are here because we're passionate about the community. We have been fortunate to have a lot of mentors in our lives, and the thing is, we want to be able to try and use the chamber as a way that we can also pay it forward, but we can't do it alone. And so we want to use this opportunity to reach out to people that want to join the chamber, become a member, help organize events and things like that, because they also see an opportunity to not only promote their business but also to work together and build that community.
So can for the people that doesn't understand chambers, right? Do they have to be living in South Florida? Can you guys explain that to me? The people that don't know about any of the chambers?
No, you can join a chamber anywhere, but it's helpful if typically people want to have a chamber that's in their close to them.
Yeah,
because
or
there's a direct
an area
benefit
that they're going into, or moving into.
Yeah. So that's exactly. So I think it's in terms of the things is the chamber is helpful as a network of resources, of people, of potential funding, and so I think a lot of it is we have this is based in South Florida. We have another chamber in Orlando and also in Jacksonville, but so we want to really be inclusive of Miami's pretty large, so we've tried to move the events to different parts of Miami. But we want to be accessible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just asked that because, there's probably people that's watching this, is going to be watching or listening to it, and they might want to join.
Sure.
They might not have the resources, or maybe they're shy, from around their area. And they said, you guys are cool. Hey, you guys have great personality. Let's, I want to connect with you guys. So maybe that's...
And if they want to start, outside of Florida, if they see an opportunity and a need for a chamber, they can reach out to me and I'll help them start a chamber. So we're, Northeast region, we have Maryland just started, we have around 40 chambers now.
Wow.
And so we have a Mexican chamber, we have an Australian chamber, we're trying to start one in Toronto. The more, because from an international trade perspective, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just connect the dots, and then, you're not trying to do it on, it makes it easier to be able to start a business, promote it, and then find resources.
Okay. Let's just rewind it back a little bit. Chef, when you're making food and things like that, do you go by seasons, or how do you do it for people that doesn't understand your industry, right?
So any good cook is going to start out with the best ingredients.
Okay.
If you want the best ingredients, then you're purchasing seasonally.
Okay.
Because, listen, tomatoes don't grow in the winter, guys. Okay, you know what I mean? So if you're buying a tomato in the winter, it's probably not going to be the best tomato. Okay, so you can go to the internet and you can find there are farmers guides, okay, that will help you see in your region what ingredients are available in your region that are going to be in season. And when I was in New York, I had access to every single ingredient all the time, but we had some really great ingredients in New York City. When I came down to Florida, we still have some great ingredients, but it's limited to the kind of ingredients, right? So you just have to think about like what grows in this type of environment, right? Excuse me, I have a cough here.
You need more water?
I would love more water. Yeah.
So Brad, with you, do you what else kind of project are you going to be going through in moving forward?
Sure. So there's some interesting projects that we're doing. So one is the FPACC started a creative council, and so if you think about all the like Olivia Rodrigo, Bruno Mars, her, Saweetie, Dante Basco, the Basco brothers, and there's the Easter Sunday coming out, Tia Carrera, Jalen Green. You can go on and on about all these Filipinos that are just at the top of their game and that are, right? It's amazing.
I know, it's so cool. It is so cool. I get excited.
And it's like, we got to bring them together. Yeah. Right? Because it's they all became successful on their own. Yeah. But what if you just start coming up with, and we came up with a simple concept of like, you're the Filipino. Each month, one thing, and we all support it. And it could be in music, it could be a book, it could be a speaker or what have you. And so I think it's a lot, it's really about, collaboration and collective empowerment, something like that. And so I think this one of the things we got, there's a film development council of the Philippines. They reached out to us, and we're doing an event during Philippine American History Month at the newly opened Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, which is going to be amazing. I was there last month. And so, we're going to bring all the celebrities, and I think it's going to be really good. So part of what we want to try and do is really just with arts and entertainment is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? And so we have a Hollywood chamber, and also an LA chamber. And so part of that is to really see how we developing studios and films and projects that support the Filipino community and that are reflective of, like, whether it's history. They have a film that's being filmed right now in August on Lapu-Lapu. They're building a film studio in Palawan. And then we're working on trying to create more incentives for filmmakers and projects because we need to grow our film industry. Yes.
It's so beautiful in the Philippines. Come on.
Exactly. So that's going to bring in more tourism and more economic impact for the Philippines, and we'll also get to have a fun trip.
Can't wait.
So I think that some of the things that have been coming. We launched the chamber just in December, right? We were trying to work with the White House, but because of COVID, we couldn't do anything or have meetings physically within the East Room or visit the White House or not. But now that things are getting safer, we're trying to do all this planning, which is great. Another thing for 2023 is we'll be having in the following May a DC day. So we'll have a visit with your representatives, political representatives. We'll visit the White House, the Pentagon, and so that and we'll meet with bring all the chambers there during Asian Heritage Month. So I think that'll be just some of the major projects that we're working on that'll be really fun, but also very impactful. So it's businesses, like politics impacts so many different industries, and we can have policies that are bad or good for businesses. So we need to be able to, have a voice and support and really understand what are those policies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not busy at all.
No.
Yeah.
Busy man.
So, Chef, let's go back to my original question with you. So you're saying there's for the people that doesn't know your industry, right? And you have to be mindful of what you're making, right, on the food level, right?
Oh, well, so you're talking about ingredients again, going back to ingredients?
Yeah, real quick.
Oh, yeah, sure. So that's the best way. And, look, when you're in the Philippines, for instance, you have all these fresh ingredients that are growing right on your property, and everyone is growing something, right? So you have the access to those kind of ingredients. Guys, food just tastes better when you're using the freshest ingredients possible, and you don't have to do a lot to those ingredients. Like, you just don't. It's just a little easy seasoning, 1 or 2 ingredients, 3 ingredients. When we take food, especially my approach to food, growing up Puerto Rican, Italian, Filipino, obviously my cultures all lend to a very intense seasoning, right? And what I learned when I went off into like culinary world, and I was working in the, with a French chef, or I was working with, molecular gastronomists, and I was doing that, what I recognized was like really allowing ingredients to stand alone,
Great,
and it's about the technique in which you cook them. We think sometimes, I'm not gonna say anything about mom or grandma, okay? But sometimes, the beans, they get overcooked, right? And you just cook the life right out of them, You cook the nutrients too, So you're just eating now a bean mush, right? But it has no...
But when you're a kid, you don't know better.
Yeah. And when you get a little older, I want that bean to have some a little bite, a little al dente, a little... And I wanted to retain the nutrients, right? Because we eat food to cure our bodies, right?
That's
to
true.
give us energy, to support us in this thing called life, right? But respecting ingredients, I always like to say, keep it simple, don't overcook your vegetables. Don't overcook your vegetables. And, food, again, earlier I said fail as often as you can, okay? There's so many recipes that are out there on the internet. You could just pick your favorite recipe. Start with the foods that you really enjoy, and go find a recipe that is of that dish, right? Like, this is just for fun, Again, I'm coming back to the fun, okay? But you go and you find that if it comes out great, fantastic, you followed the recipe. If it comes out terribly, one, you may have not followed the recipe. Okay,
that's mostly the case.
Okay, or let me tell you that recipe was faulty. Okay, so maybe that was the case. So don't blame yourself. But then you fail, and then you ask yourself, what worked? What didn't work? What do I get to add next? And I apply that to my life and everything I do, not only recipes. So fail often when you're cooking. Another thing, searing, okay? You want a nice crust on your piece of fish or your chicken or your steak. When you sear something, guys, okay, first you have to make sure that your protein has been patted dry. You can't have water on it. It can't be wet, okay? It can't have the marinade on it. If you do that, what's going to happen is going to create steam, okay? So steam is not what you're going for when you're looking for a hard sear, okay? So you're going to want to, and then you're going to want to make sure that your pan is hot. So you need your pan to be like smoking hot. And there's a reason why it's smoking. And olive oil is not what you want to use if you're trying to sear. You want to use a neutral oil, something like a blended oil, a vegetable oil, something like that, just a little. And when you know your pan is hot, I don't technically mean you need it to be smoking, but right before the smoking point, you'll be able to tilt your pan and see the waves of oil.
Oh, nice.
When the waves are there, then you're in, okay? And that's the time.
Nice.
So
we should have we should have cooking classes for the chamber.
Yeah, let's get it.
I'm smiling here because
Yeah.
I can just imagine, Chef, when you go to a restaurant, you'd probably be very critical. What is this?
No, listen, that's why I don't get invitations to any friend's house, okay? I'm starving over here. Who wants to cook me dinner? No, but look, look,
Yeah.
there's soul food, okay? And what you can't, you can't deny that in soul food, it doesn't matter if the bean is mushy.
Yeah.
Because you taste the love.
That's right.
That's true.
You taste that layer of flavors. You taste all those ingredients that have been cooking on the stove for 10 hours and it's there for you at the end of the night. You taste that, right? You taste the soul. And that's what's like so important as well. So I really, because I come from a refined, classically trained background in food, I understand that I can't overcook my beans, okay? But the flavor that is there, tapping into that and being able to transport someone from wherever they've been all day to this plate that has history, that takes you back to, say, somewhere while I was sitting on a Pulit Island in the Philippines, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And with that little chili and that bite and that freshness and and being able to tap into the soul of food without overcooking the beans. That's what I'm going for here, okay?
So last question for both of you guys. Chef, since you run a business and a restaurant,
Yes.
do you still cook at home?
Sometimes.
Are you like,
No, I do. Because I'm gonna save that comment, but
we don't want to get you in trouble.
let's. Actually, my wife, now that she's vegan, she cooks a lot at home, and she's trying out all her new vegan recipes, and she never cooked before she was vegan.
Wow.
So now she does, and it's amazing. And so I don't have to cook as often. But if I had to be honest with you, you know what I like to eat when I'm at home?
What's that?
I like it like a grilled cheese sandwich. That's what I like.
Awesome.
It's comfort food.
Yeah, I like that. I like a tuna fish. I love sandwiches. I just love sandwiches. I love being able to marinate like tofu now and any other protein that I like in like an adobo kind of style, and be able to sear that up and make that nice little crust. I love bringing flavors to sandwiches, and I just love sandwiches. I love noodles, so anything that's easy. I can make really great noodle dishes and just whip it up. I'm easy like that. If it has scallions in it and a little chili and some soy and ginger, I'm good.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Everything else, we go out a lot. It keeps me honest. It helps me also do my product research.
Sure.
It helps me know what other people are doing, what people are liking. Knowledge is power, man. So you got to go out there and do your product, your market
evolving.
research.
Yep.
Yeah, but I cook a little at home.
What about you, Brad?
In terms of cooking,
Everything.
I do cook a little bit. I'm not a chef, but I learned from my mom.
Yeah.
So we used to have my mom owned she owned a golf courses and a restaurant, for 13 years, and so I would watch her in the kitchen all the time, and so that was something. And she's a really good cook, so I don't want to, whenever I can get food from her, I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't need to cook.
Absolutely. Right. All right. So, do you guys if our viewers or listeners want to reach out to you guys, where they can
Yeah, we're
or the chamber?
pretty accessible. I mean, I think the thing is, the chamber only exists to support its members. So we need members. We want to create that community, and we're here to serve. So you feel free to reach out to us. We'll have like an email or
yeah. I mean,
right?
you could also follow me at Chef Josie on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on all of those, and send me a message that says you're interested in the chamber, and then I'll send out some important information to you and show you how to reach us and catch us.
Nice.
Very cool.
And then I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and then if you do for those FPACC United.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, thank you so much, and thanks for coming by. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah,
Hopefully
thanks for
see you
having
guys
us
again.
in.
This is fun.
All right.
Yay.